which ungazi ukuthi ubefakele left winger because he's a striker. This thing has been said so many times. Alright, Chippa United 1, Kaizer Chiefs 3, but how did the individuals do? We start with the goalkeeper, Peterson. He didn't really have much to do, to be honest. I do think he did have some shaky moments where it was like below average when it comes to him, but the assist that he played and the fact that you could see Velobuti Chiefs was practicing to be able to play on transitions, because every time Brendan had the ball, he was always looking for that run of one of the forwards, be Briliance or Parker. So that was good, and to see Uti distribution yake has improved as well was pretty amazing. So for his score, counting on my shaky moments, the assist that he gave us, and the fact that he really didn't have much to do, I'll give him a 7. I move on to our centre backs at our 3. Gizoqala with our right centre back Ungezana. I think he had a phenomenal game actually. When we're playing a back 3, what happens is one of the centre backs pushes in towards the midfield so that he can add numbers, sizoba a numerical advantage, and he was doing well. And it goes the same thing with Austin as well. He was adding numbers to the midfield, and the mover were never really exposed. So for both of them, I'll give them a 7.5. Then we move on to Ramahlwe Mphahlele. In my opinion, when the game started, it was a bit shaky. He was looking around, always trying to get the linesman to raise his flag for offside, and it almost cost us because there was a ball, I think it was on the 15th minute, where he was busy trying to raise his hand, and he ended up being caught on his heels, raising his hand, and then the ball ended up hitting Ipali actually. And I would actually give him, because he recovered throughout the match, ended up being better, give him a 7. Before we move on to our midfielders, let me know, give me your player ratings for yesterday's match down on the comment section below. We move on to Blom. I saw a lot of movement, and he ended up assisting the last goal, and it was a good reverse pass because he played it with his left foot as well, so it was really good. That wasn't the only cross that he played. Also played another cross that Nukovic ended up missing. After Blom, we move on to Riv. You know, most of the times, because he's a right-footed player who's playing as a left back, he inverts a lot, and as a left wing back, your work is to open the field wide. But that's not his fault. It's because they know that there is a constraint with his left foot. He did play across with his left foot, but I know Riv, he's much more powerful with his right foot, and as a result, he was a bit constrained, which is not his fault. But when it comes to defending, I forgot to mention this about Blom as well. Their defending was absolutely perfect, because when you are playing a wing back, you have to cover going forward. You also need to be there going backwards. So it was very good. And because I didn't really see much of offense or threats coming from his left side, I will give him a 6. Then we move on to midfield, where there was Unange. I've said this before, and Namand, I'm still saying it. I don't know why he starts. I honestly don't know why he starts. We could have played Upakas and played him with Ungom. That is. I do not understand why Unange was playing. And in fact, the goal that we conceded, it's Nange's fault. I will tell you why. Because if a team is playing a mid block, which means to mark heavily in the midfield or high block, or to press the team up top, which in our case we're playing a mid block at that time, we were supposed to put pressure in the midfield. And Unange was backing off instead of pressing the person on the ball. So if you're not going to be good defensively and not going to give us anything offensively, going to funa any grounding. And because there was no pressure on the player on the ball, the person who was on the ball, he was able to pick up a forward pass, and then we considered the goal. Because I'm a defender that you can blame them if you want, but naturally, if we know we are playing a mid block or a high block, we push up. But then it's your job as strikers to start defending. Defense is not just about Uguti, back 3 or back 5. It's about from the strikers to the midfield and then to the defenders. Aqala defend, and Unange was Lisile, and he didn't give us anything, and the coach ended up taking him out for whatever reason, because he took him out because I think he's resting him for Ites Scarlet. But Unange, for me, he gets a 4 because it doesn't give us anything in the midfield. It's just an extra body. Then we move on to Baka. Some people actually say he was their man of the match. I don't think he was. I think he did play a solid game. What I did say about him is that maybe there's still a lack of some match fitness a bit, because he's not been played a lot. Because for the first 20 minutes when Chippa was on the ball, everyone was pressing them. But as the match continued, you could see Wuti defensively there wasn't much that he was doing because angathi besekhathele. But when he was on the ball, or movement of the ball, when building up, when progressing the ball, when going forward, then you saw involvement, yeah. But when it comes to the defensive side, which is so important, especially when you are playing a pivot, like in the midfield, you will need both your players to put in some work. But he wasn't playing bad. He played a good game, and I'll give him a 7.5 as well. We move on to the forwards. We start with Bernard Parker. And Parker, I've always said this, there's too much hate directed at him. But Mautatu Pega, even yesterday, he was involved with the goal. He's the one who played the pass early to Briliance. Because it's not just about passing the ball as well, it's also about the timing of the pass. He did the same thing against the Pirates. He timed the pass well, and again, giving the ball to Briliance so that Briliance can pass to Nukovic. That takes, you must be able to time that pass accurately. And he did that. And when we were marking, he kept on tucking into the midfield to change the system to be like a form of a 5-3-2 or a 5-4-1 at times. And it did well because he was marking when we had to mark, and when we were going forward, Parker, this is one thing that is underrated now. He does know how to play the ball. He is comfortable on the ball, and he did play the ball. So abantu bamzonda kakhulu Parker at times, but I think the hate towards Parker is just too much and exaggerated. And I think he had a decent game. He didn't offer us too much going forward, but defensively, I would even say he is much better fit with pivot than Unanga, because Unanga kasinikeza lutho, but Parker Mbona, he works hard and he can pass the ball and have a forward passes. And for that, I will actually give Parker a 6.5. We move on to Briliance, who's my man of the match. I mean, he did everything that you would want a person playing that position to do. He kept on dropping to the midfield to collect the ball. He was there when we had to make him a forward runs. He was running off the defender's shoulder. He was dribbling him at defenders. And he assisted the first goal. He won the foul for the second goal and assisted it. So he had 2 assists. And the third goal, Sibonile assist Kaplom. But go back and watch how that goal happened. So what happens is Uplom is on the ball, Briliance is on the box. So he made a move as if he's going to get the ball, Uplom. And when he did that, he took the defender with him away. And there was a clear passing lane towards Ukol, and Ukol ran into that space, Lesebes Vulo, Briliance, and he scored a goal. Small things like that, it's things that I've been talking about. Uguti, we need to make those movements, because that movement that Briliance distracted the defender and caused the commotion, and then Ukol, smart enough, you could see Uguti, he needs to run into that space and score the goal, which was brilliant. So Briliance was involved in all our goals, and this is my man of the match. And I will give him 10 out of 10. Then we move on to Nukovic. Unukovic should have scored a hat-trick easily. Ngaphandle kwaleli goal lakhe abamrophe lona, he would have scored a hat-trick in any case. Because Unukovic has this thing, he lacks composure. He did score a goal yesterday. The goal that he scored was harder than the goals that he missed. Uba relaxed, calm it down and score a goal. And yes, he did score a goal, which is good for him. Bravo. But as a striker who's 29 years old, you should be composed enough to know with mouse boxing, you relax, you calm down, and then you finish off the chances, or else you will continue costing team. Because in other matches, you don't get many chances like that. You get one and you miss that one, you're done. How many times have you watched Chiefs miss their opportunities and the other team goes and scores one goal and they defend for the entire match? The goal that Unukovic missed against Vets in 2020 still haunts me. If we had won that game, if we had drawn even that game, we were gonna win the league. But Unukovic ballooned the ball where he was supposed to maintain his composure and score. And that thing is still there 2 years later. And it shows me that he lacks the composure. I don't think Unukovic is a horrible player. What I do think is that he just needs to work on himself. Put in some work, and he has a potential of becoming a deadly striker. Now to our substitutions. Firstly, we start with Ega Kigen. Understandably so, Kigen was traveling. Start him on the bench, bring him in to make a difference second half, and we can't always really depend on Kigen to make a difference all the time. And he came in and he did make a difference. He scored a wonderful free kick, which shows you as a player must be able to put in some work privately, and it showed, because if you can take a free kick like that from that distance, it shows Uguti you truly are good at your feet. You truly do practice set pieces, because you don't just come and score free kick in matches if you don't actually practice doing it during your own time. And it did, And well, he played for a short time and there wasn't much to see with him. What else did he do? But for that, because he was incredibly above like Briliance, so I will give him a 7, and that's based on the fact that Briliance was just too much yesterday. And then Cole, after being away for such a long time and coming in and showing Unange, this is what you do if you are given the freedom to move forward. You find yourself in the right place, you identify the movement of your teammates, and then you exploit the gaps that are left by your opposition. One of the most important things that I think we don't talk about is the fact that when you are a player and another team makes a mistake, you should be able to pounce on that. That's the quality of big teams. Some people end up calling it luck. It's not luck. It's just you being able to see when to strike, when to capitalize on the opponent's mistake. And Cole definitely did that. And as a result, value Guti played that well, but he played short again, and Briliance had already set his standard so high. I will give Cole 7. And then we go to Ukadoso. Ukadoso came in because Uribe apparently had an issue, and it wasn't much to do. He was just there. There was nothing much. It was just for him to come in and organize abantu lapha emuva Austin Ongezana, and he did that, and it wasn't something to write home about really. So I'll just give him a 6. And we go to the coach. Still Nonjabulo Ngobo in the team, still playing Uribe out of position. Ublom can do better as Sweeney than what Unange did, and that will give Bakasi freedom to move forward. Still playing Unukovic as a winger, still not playing Abo Hadebe, not Ngobo, not even Uzuma was not even on the bench. It's like, what is going on, Stuart? What is actually going on with you? What's your problem? Why do you not want to see progress? Because these results can fool us. But now when we play against TS Galaxy, a much more organized team, then we get into trouble. I don't want to see that happening to the team. And of course, he's still on the negative for me. We won the game, but it was still a Brilliance. It was still a Brilliance. Now, to the referees, we've played 3 games and 2 of our goals have been chopped off because the referee or the linesman couldn't do their job. What is going on, guys? The level of refereeing is just disappointing and it's disgraceful. So Refinabo, I give them 1 out of 10. Let's see how we do against TS Galaxy on Tuesday. Stay tuned to Kaizer Chiefs Fan TV because we'll be posting a preview for that match tomorrow. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. In this channel, we speak everything Kaizer Chiefs, previewing and reviewing matches of Kaizer Chiefs and talking about everything that happens at the club. Please let me know what you think. What are your player ratings down on the comment section below. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelo more.